Hey guys, it's Wexdarn here, and with the Mewtwo DLC being just a couple of days away from releasing, and Nintendo essentially opening up the floodgates with their open ballot system for new Smash Bros. Characters out, and the reveal of Lucas from out of nowhere completely, I just thought I'd make this video just to quickly state what characters I like to see return and join the series, and what characters I'm actually voting for in this open ballot. So first of all, just to get characters that didn't make a return appearance out of the way, I'd like to say that out of all of them, I'd want to see Ice Climbers, Ivysaur, Squirtle, Snake and Wolf back in the game. I know Ice Climbers weren't included initially in Smash 4 because the 3DS couldn't handle 8 player controlled characters on the screen together like that, but if they were to change it to be sort of like a single Ice Climber and give them some tweaking such as like the main move used both Ice Climbers was Beat Up special, which, sort of like slingshot jump them. If they were to change that out for like the Condor that appears in the Ice Climbers games, then I think that would work out pretty well as your Beat Up move, and maybe just boost the single Ice Climbers attacks a little bit more so they could be a bit stronger. I mean, it makes them less unique as a fighter, but I think it would work that way, so yeah. Ivysaur and Squirtle are both pretty fun characters to play as in the game, and all they really need to be ready for Smash 4 is just like one more special move, and like that's what happened to Charizard already, so I mean I can't imagine it'd be too difficult to get them re-included in the game. Although I could see why like Nintendo wouldn't really go for that, because there's already like 6 Pokemon characters in the game. So I can kind of see why they wouldn't want to add any more to Smash 4. Snake is a pretty unlikely candidate to actually return, and I think that's for pretty obvious reasons really. But I do wish they actually sort of brought him back, just because I do think he was a really fun character to actually play as in game. So yeah, even though he's really unlikely, I just miss him in the game, okay? And then there's Wolf. A lot of people complained about the characters in Smash 4 this time around in terms of like clone characters, and myself included in that to a bit of an extent. But out of all like the clones from Brawl, Wolf really wasn't that bad. I mean, the difference between Fox and Wolf is so much wider between Fox and Falco, so I'm really surprised Falco returned. Like, Falco got a slot when Wolf actually felt like a bit of a different character, even though they shared some of the same moves. I mean, the difference between Fox and Falco could really just have been like recreated in like the custom character section in Smash 4. So I was kind of disappointed in a way to see that Falco got a slot and Wolf didn't return. And similar to like the Pokemon characters, I can't imagine it be that difficult to sort of port Wolf over from Brawl to Smash 4, But hey, what do I know? And now for like the new characters I'd like to see in the game. This isn't necessarily all the characters I'd like to see, but like the ones I'm leaning towards more, and the ones I think at least have a little more chance of getting in, I guess. First off, following from Wolf, I'd like to say it's a character who's been there since the start of the series, truly a fan favourite and beloved by all. I'm of course talking about Slippy Toad. Okay, so he's not the greatest character, but I think Slippy would at least be an interesting addition to the game, and could actually be a Star Fox character that doesn't have the same like foundation moveset as Fox and Falco do, and Wolf to an extent. But he'd probably still keep that reflector since, after all, he invented it. But other than that, I think if there was some creative thought put into it, he could be like a really new, fun and unique character thrown into the game. And from that controversial pick to a slightly less controversial one, Hades from Kid Icarus Uprising. Now when Smash 4 came out, I saw a lot of people online talking about how Sakurai had a sort of character bias towards his own series. And I can see that to an extent. I do think there's been an awful lot of Kid Icarus stuff thrown in. And Brawl was kind of Kirby favouring to an extent. But with this, I think they've missed like a major opportunity for Uprising, especially when they included one character and not this one. With his appearance in Kid Icarus Uprising alone, he became my favourite Nintendo villain, really. He's really smart, he's cunning, incredibly powerful, and also incredibly funny. I guess fictional versions of Hades have that in common, really. I just think it'd be a really great new addition to the cast, and I don't think we'll have that size issue that always comes up when people start talking about Ridley being added to Smash, because after all, if Palutena can be shrunk down to fit into this game, I'm pretty sure Hades can too, damn it. And much like Sakurai, I too happen to have a personal bias for a series I want to see more of in Smash. And for me, that series is none other than The Legend of Zelda. I have so much bias for it, I actually have two characters I want to see from this series rather than just the one. Those characters are Tetra and Vati. Tetra is Zelda's initial appearance in The Wind Waker and Phantom Hourglass, and is arguably the incarnation of Zelda with the most personality in the series, and is also a fan favourite. With her being the leader of a group of pirates, she has a much different backstory to the usual interpretation of Zelda, and so can have a much different moveset and would function much more as a sort of smaller, faster character than the Zelda that we see in the games at the moment. So hopefully she will be a lot more unique than Toon Link is to Link. And then there's Vati, basically the Zelda series' only recurring villain outside of Ganondorf, and he really deserves a lot more love than he gets. He's a really powerful shapeshifter and sorcerer, and again, one of the more fleshed out characters in the series, even though he's only appeared in 3 games. And above all else, Vati is another villain that we could have in Smash, which is something the series kind of desperately needs at this point, as out of its 53 character roster, there's currently only 3 definite villains and potentially 7 more depending on how loosely you want to define a villain. So I think Vati would be a much welcome addition to the cast, partly for that reason alone. And to keep this suggestion short and sweet, practically anyone from Punch-Out or WarioWare. I know that sounds a bit like a cop-out, but seriously, almost anyone from either of these series would be a great addition to the game. All the other Punch-Out boxers and members of WarioWare Inc. are just oozing with personality and I think would make brilliant fighters in the game. But if I absolutely had to narrow down my choices to one per game, I would probably go with King Hippo from Punch-Out and Jimmy T from WarioWare. They're both pretty great guys and I'd love to see them fleshed out into fully fledged fighters. After all those first party characters, I'll get into the third party ones. Starting with Simon Belmont from Castlevania, a series that started out being Nintendo exclusive back in the day and has since expanded. Now to be completely honest, I've never been a massive fan of the series, but I love Castlevania 1 and 2, both of which star Simon, a badass vampire hunter whose family has been tasked with taking down Dracula every time he re-emerges from the shadows, using his trusty whip and a handful of other tools to save the day. Even though Simon appears a lot less often nowadays in Castlevania, and the series is no longer a Nintendo exclusive, Castlevania games are still prominent entries into Nintendo systems libraries to this day, and Simon is still the main man to represent this series in my opinion. Also, with his inclusion we can finally recreate Captain N. Another former exclusive series was the Ace Attorney series, and of course the character I'm putting forth from the series is Detective Gumshoe. Okay, it's Phoenix Wright, but like I said, this series used to be Nintendo exclusive, but even now the only other platforms it's on are for mobile phones, and the titles are still Nintendo exclusive for a while at least before they move on to that. And it's not really as if Capcom's on bad terms with Nintendo or anything. I mean, hell, Mega Man is already in this game. But yeah, Ace Attorney is a really great series of games, and whilst you might not think a defense lawyer like Phoenix is really suited for combat, he's already proved himself in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. But I guess a lot of Phoenix becoming a fighter would depend on how much Capcom would allow to be copied from his last fighter game appearance, or if Nintendo would allow multiple third-party characters from the same third party. For now, I guess I can only live in hope. And once again, hoping that Nintendo allows more than one character from the same third party, I really hope we get a second character from Sega, or to be more precise, the Sonic series with Dr. Eggman. In my mind, Eggman plays a lot like Bowser Jr., having his Eggmobile and various weapons and gadgets he could pull out and use during the fight. And there's literally dozens of games that we could go through for various moves that Eggman could use in his mech. And even after that, like, Eggman's still showing that he can get out of his vehicle and easily outrun Sonic, or just run around slapping some chow for a bit. I think overall, Eggman would truly be a great addition to the cast. And then there's possibly the most wonderful Nintendo exclusive, the Wonderful 101. And out of all the possible candidates, I think the most obvious choice is the leader of the team, Wonder Red. Sorry Wonder Yeti, maybe next game. But yeah, Wonder Red. The only way I really see him working though is if we break his game conventions of everyone teaming up to make like various weapons and items, and instead giving him access to all of the main special moves. With that on its own, I think we've got a pretty solid moveset for Wonder Red already, you know? Plus, Nintendo giving some exposure to a really great Wii U exclusive really wouldn't hurt, you know? And finally, even though he isn't actually a video game character, I know there were a lot of people who wanted him in last time around, and even though I don't think the demand is quite as high as it used to be, I'm still going to put in a vote for Nintendo of American President Reggie Fils-Aimé. Yes, I still want him in, and no, the Mii fighters aren't good enough. My body is still ready, damn it. But yeah, those were my main choices for the fighters in the Smash Bros. DLC vote. Let me know what you guys thought, and if there are any characters you particularly wanted to see, then let me know below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you later.